Assalamu alaikum. The topic is market failure. Market failure occurs when businesses fail to take into account all sorts of costs. What do I mean by that? The costs that we are talking about are social costs, private costs, and external costs. Private costs are the ones that are borne by people directly involved in consumption and production of goods and services. Private is for individuals directly involved. Then we have social costs. Social means related to the society. Social costs related to the society. Now, social costs are the total of private costs and external costs. What are external costs? External costs are the costs that are borne by third party. Who is a third party? Third party is not directly involved in consumption or production of goods and services. Now, what are examples of private costs? Private costs include all kinds of costs that the firms they incur while in the process of manufacturing goods. For example, labor cost, cost of raw material, cost of electricity, etc. Then external costs. What are external costs? External costs include the costs that people have to, third parties have to bear. For example, if there's a chemical factory and it emits smoke, then the pollution that is caused by that factory and the pollution that causes harm to health, it is harmful for health of people, then that is the cost that people have to bear. Costs are not always monetary or in terms of money. Costs can be health costs, mental costs, physical costs, emotional costs. These are all parts of cost. It means that the harm that is caused to people in any form, that is the external cost. Then, like costs, we have concept of benefits as well. We will talk about social benefits, private benefits, and external benefits. Social benefits is the sum of private benefits and external benefits. Social benefits is the benefit to the society. Private benefit is the benefit to the parties directly involved in manufacture and consumption of goods and services. Social benefits are overall benefits to the society, and external benefits are benefits enjoyed by third parties that are not directly involved in consumption of goods and services. What could be an example of external benefit? If the road is maintained or a road is constructed for a business and transportation purposes, everybody who isn't even conducting that business and is not part of the business community, if that person is using the road, then it's part of external benefit. Also, if the if there is cleanliness around, means if a garbage dump is cleaned by the government or by anybody, then everybody who wasn't even bothered by that garbage will benefit from it, because that person will also enjoy fresh environment, clean environment. Okay, so now that we are aware of costs and benefits, we need to know that externalities occur or market failure occurs when there is misallocation of resources or inefficient allocation of resources. Inefficient allocation of resources means that if you needed to dedicate 4 resources to manufacture of certain commodity, you are dedicating either 5 resources or you are dedicating 3 resources. The optimum number of resources required is 4. If you are underproducing, obviously you are dedicating less resources. If you are overproducing, you are dedicating more resources. So misallocation and inefficient allocation of resources leads to market failure and externality. Now, there are 2 scenarios. One scenario is when social benefits they exceed private benefits. Another scenario is when private benefit exceeds social benefits. Other one is when private costs are more than social costs, and other scenario is when social costs are more than private costs. Okay, so these are the scenarios that lead to externalities. Let's see what the write-up is saying. When social costs exceed social benefits, this thing is harmful for the society and the output needs to be decreased. The society would benefit if output is decreased. In contrast, if social benefits exceed social costs, it means that the commodity or the good is overall beneficial for the society and it should be produced in more quantity, or more of it should be produced so that overall society can benefit from it. Moving on, there is also a case where social benefits are equal to social costs. In such a scenario, there is optimum output or socially optimum output. This occurs where social costs equal social benefit and the welfare of the society is maximized. We can also say that social welfare is maximized. Now, when we are looking at externalities, there are two scenarios that we will be studying. One is overproduction and one is underproduction. There are situations where there is overproduction. It means that there is more production and that more production is not socially optimal. The socially optimal output will be below the output that is produced. Let's have a look at it through the graph. Now, we can see that this is the supply curve, which is based on private cost. When the supply is based on private cost only without taking into consideration the social cost, then they are overproducing, because overall cost to the society is more. If the entire cost is taken into account, for example, construction of a chemical plant, private cost is equals to cost of capital or whatever money they spend to install that plant by the place XYZ, and external cost is equals to pollution and all the issues that this pollution is going to cause to the society. When you calculate the total social cost, so total social cost is always going to be greater than the private cost. Why? Because external cost is part of social cost. In this scenario, obviously when cost to the society is high, the output which is produced here, when resource allocation is left to free market, is greater than the socially optimal output. The socially optimal output should have been less than the output that is produced. This gap is the gap of overconsumption or overproduction. When there is overproduction, there is a need to shift the supply curve to left. There's a need to shift the supply curve to left. That is why the left shift of supply curve is the supply curve with social costs. Okay, supply curve with social cost. The red triangle is the dead weight loss, which means that this is the welfare loss to the society. Why this is welfare loss to the society? Because more resources are dedicated to production of goods, and these should have been less resources. Some resources could have been freed and tied up in some other thing which would have benefited the society as a whole, and the social cost wouldn't have been high. Now, this entire explanation is for the graph that I have already spoken about right now. So this was the overproduction scenario. One thing to notice is that overproduction takes into account private cost only. Also, when we are talking about cost, we will talk about the supply curve always, because cost is associated with supply, and cost is from the supply side or from the side where you are getting the production. Cost is always associated with supplier. So the supply of something needs to reduce when there is overproduction. That is why we have shifted the supply curve to left. There's another scenario where production is based primarily on private benefit. Okay, it's based totally on private benefit. When outcomes are based on private or personal benefits, then what happens is that goods and services are under consumed. Why? Because there are certain goods which are called merit goods, and a lot of goods which are beneficial for consumption, but people are less aware of their availability, also less aware of the benefits they can derive by the use of that product. For example, education. If you go to poor people and you ask them to get educated or enroll their children in certain programs, they will be extremely reluctant, and they will keep saying, हमें पढ़ के क्या करना है, ये अमीरों के चोचले हैं, because they are unaware of the benefits that they can have. Not only they can have, but their future generations can have by attaining education. So what happens is that because of less awareness, these products will be in less demand, hence they will be under consumed. If they are under consumed, they are lying on this demand curve, which is DPB, means demand curve with only private benefit. If they get to know the importance of these goods, the demand for these goods will increase and more people would want to consume them. So the socially optimal output should be greater than what it actually is when resource allocation is left for the free market. So there will be a shift in the demand curve towards right, because there will be more demand of these goods and services. In this case also, we have a net welfare loss, which is the red triangle. But you can see two things. Here the positioning of red triangle is different, and here the positioning of red triangle is different. So how do we actually find out this red triangle? Let's have a look. See how to draw dead weight loss on the graph. Here we can see that we have this market output. The quantity is according to private this is according to private cost, and this is according to private benefit. Quantity according to private benefit. Now we know that when only this cost is taken into account, which is private cost, the socially optimal output is going to be low. Socially optimal output is lower than the output of private cost, social cost, right? Now this is the output that is produced. This is the equilibrium output or productive efficient output. This is the output at equilibrium, because this is what is actually produced. Okay, now this is the supply curve with social cost. Now you extend this line, of actual output being produced, and it touches the social cost curve. Now this distance between the private cost curve and the social cost supply curve is the dead weight loss, right? You just extend the line of the actual output, which is based on private cost, and extend it to touch the supply curve of social cost. That is the dead weight loss. It means this is the wastage of resources. Therefore, this is the graph of overproduction. Now, when we look at the graph of underproduction, we know that there is underproduction and underconsumption. So, socially optimum output is going to be greater than the output that is generated when resource allocation is left for free market. So, this is quantity which is based on social benefit. The actual quantity or the equilibrium quantity is this, right? The equilibrium quantity or actually produced quantity is this. You do the same thing, you extend this line to touch the demand curve with social benefits. Demand will increase as social benefits will maximize. Demand will be less when it is only concerned with private benefits. So this becomes the dead weight loss. You have to remember it, because if you study economics further in A levels, you would know how to draw the dead weight loss. You look at the actual output. Actual outcome is the one that is used, that is the output with private benefits or private costs. Okay? All right. Moving forward, causes of market failure. One cause of market failure can be information asymmetry or imperfect information. Asymmetry is the opposite of symmetrical. Symmetrical means both the sides, there are two sides of something. If this side is 50%, then this side is also 50%. Means both are equal. Information asymmetry can be evaluated from perspective of different economic agents. One is the consumer. For consumers to buy products that will maximize their satisfaction within the given resources, they need to have complete knowledge about the nature of the product. Means the seller and the buyer both need to have perfect information about the product. Second one is workers, people who want to work. They need to know what jobs are on offer, the location of workplace, the qualifications required, the remuneration they would receive, and everything about the available jobs. Most people are unable to find good jobs because of information asymmetry. You must have heard, ओहो ये ओपनिंग थी, हमें तो पता ही नहीं था. तो जो हमें तो पता ही नहीं था, that is information asymmetry. Means those who have advertised the job, they are aware of it, but those who are applying for jobs, all of them are not aware of it. Then we have producers. Producers need to have full information about products that are in demand, where good quality raw materials can be purchased from at the lowest possible prices, and about the most cost effective methods of producing goods and services. Right? So, if there is information asymmetry of any kind in the market, it can lead to market failure and it can lead to externalities. Next is information failure. One is information asymmetry, means all parties have information but all of them do not have complete information. Information failure means again information asymmetry. This can occur in a number of ways. Number one, inaccurate information or lack of information. Next is asymmetric information, where one party knows more than the other party. Right? Another cause of market failure is merit goods. Merit goods are those goods that are good for consumption and the government would want to increase consumption of merit goods. Merit goods are necessarily necessities? No. Anything such as food, clothing, shoes can be a necessity and can be good for consumption. Anything which is good for consumption is called merit goods. In case of some products, there's both the problem of information failure and the problem of social benefits or cost being greater than the private benefits or costs. What does that mean? Merit goods are more beneficial for the consumers than they realize. For example, health insurance, for example, taking care of your health, for example, education. Consumers are unaware of the complete benefits that they can have by consuming merit goods, right? And the failure of consumers to acknowledge the true value of these merit goods to themselves and others mean that these products will always be underconsumed and hence underproduced if left to market forces. This happens normally in case of merit goods. The example is education, example is healthcare, example is fitness, right? People are unaware of external benefits associated with the use of merit goods. For example, if the workforce is healthy, they are consuming the healthcare facilities that they have. If the workforce is healthy, obviously the healthcare burden on the nation will be less. Secondly, when there is a healthier workforce, they will be able to lead good quality life, not only for themselves but also for their children. The children are third party. Also, if the workforce is healthy, they will be able to work, and if people are working, there will be less crimes. So there's a list of external benefits of a lot of things that we consume, a lot of merit goods that we consume, but people always undervalue the benefits of merit goods. Sometimes the government needs to take certain actions to increase the consumption of merit goods, one of which is to provide subsidy. Merit goods are normally under-consumed if left to forces of demand and supply. If left to market goods, under-consumed if left to forces of demand and supply. Therefore, the government needs to increase consumption. How does government improve consumption? One way to do that is by providing subsidy. If they are under-consumed, under-consumption means that the socially optimal output will be greater than output based on private benefits. This is what is happening. Qx is the quantity which is socially optimal, and Q is the output that the market is actually producing. For example, let's say education. This Q number of people are obtaining education at the price P. The government wants to increase the consumption of these goods and increase it by shifting the demand curve, say by creating awareness or by providing subsidy. If they are doing this by providing subsidy, the main aim of subsidy is to increase supply. The goods that are under-consumed because they are underproduced. When the government increases supply of these goods, the demand will increase and the consumption will also increase. When the supply is increased, not the demand will increase, the consumption will increase. When we talk about consumption, obviously the demand curve is going to shift to right. Obviously, when government tries to increase the supply will also experience a right shift. But let's have a look at it. How? And before that, what is a subsidy? Subsidy is the benefit given to the business or an individual. Usually it's given by the government either in form of cash or in form of tax cut. A tax cut will lead to supply. For example, if corporations used to pay 10% corporate taxes, if the government wants people to conduct more business and increase their output, they cut down taxes by uh, cut down taxes, and they say, okay, you have to now pay 8%. This is a tax subsidy, and this is different from imposition of tax. Subsidy is normally in form of cash. When subsidy is provided, subsidy means that something is manufactured for $10, it's the cost. Selling price is 15. The government wants you to drop the price, right? The government wants you to drop the price. Here your profit is 5. Profit is 5. Government wants you to drop the drop the price, but why would you drop the price? Why would you want to decrease your profit if government wants to do something? The government should bear responsibility if they want others to buy it. The government tells you, okay, please decrease the selling price. Start selling it for 12. You're like, are you mad? I reduce my profit to $2. Government says no. Out of the cost of 10, you pay 7 and we pay 3 to you. So you have used 7 from your pocket, 3 we give you, means that's your profit now, and 2 you can get from people. So your profit is still the same. At this condition, people are ready to supply more. When people supply more, supply curve shifts, and supply curve experiences a right shift. Where does it shift? It shifts to where this new supply curve S2 coincides with the socially optimum output, which is this output Q, socially optimum output. But let's see what happens with the price. At socially optimum output, the price comes down, as we have seen here in the numerical example, that the price comes down. This is the price with subsidy. Price comes down. With subsidy, supply always experiences a right shift and price always comes down. This is done to encourage more consumption. Why? Because the demand law says when price goes down, demand goes up. Demand means consumption. So prices are brought down to increase consumption. This is how you will explain subsidy using a graph. But is subsidy the only method used by government to increase consumption? No. They may make consumption of merit goods compulsory. For example, wearing a seat belt. Secondly, merit goods can be provided for free. For example, vaccination. The government provided free corona vaccination to everybody. They did that to encourage people to definitely get vaccinated. Next is free education. Countries where there is free education till high school, most of the people are high school graduates. Why? Because they are getting that service for free. So they are making the most of it. Okay, we stop here, and the remaining ones we are going to do inshallah in the next class. Take care. Allah Hafiz.